Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Franchise Unfiltered podcast. Today, I'm joined by Lane Martin. Lane's the founder and CEO of Modern PURAIR. Lane, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you. This is an interesting concept, and looking forward to taking a deeper dive into it, introducing Modern PURAIR to the audience. So,
Yeah.
on that note, give us kind of the 30,000 foot view. What is Modern PURAIR, and what do you guys help your customers with?
You got it. So Modern Pure Air started with duct cleaning. That's what our core business used to be.
Okay.
And over the years, we've evolved into indoor air quality experts. So we don't think of ourselves as just duct cleaners anymore, and we're not, but we do
Yeah.
anything to do with indoor air quality in commercial, residential, and industrial environments. So what that means is furnace and air duct cleaning, coil cleaning, dryer vent cleaning, IAQ. When I say IAQ, that's indoor air quality. So that's the
Okay. Yeah.
synonym for it. If you
I
hear
like it.
IAQ,
Yeah.
yeah, indoor air quality testing, and yeah, anything to do with indoor air quality, commercial, industrial, and residential facilities. So
Very cool. So, how did that evolution transpire? You started, I mean, the duct cleaning makes sense, right? That's
yeah,
pretty commonly needed. How did it evolve into this kind of expanded menu of services?
yeah, that's a great question. It's kind of how the brand journey went. Literally, if we rewind, I've tried to leave this industry twice, and I've grown up in it. Like honestly, since in diapers, and I mean that respectfully. My dad, he lives here in Kelowna, British Columbia, where we're still based out of, and he's 83 years old, but we call him the godfather of duct cleaning because
Okay.
he literally started in Calgary, Alberta, and most people only know Calgary in the States because they hosted the Olympic Games in, I think, 1988, right?
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah. Right.
Calgary Flames. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, he started. He was in HVAC, so he was a gas fitter by trade,
Okay.
and some of the clients, he was self-employed, some of their clients started getting requests for duct cleaning in like 1970, and it
Okay.
wasn't a thing back then, large hospitals, etc. So my dad found a company that was just starting to build duct cleaning trucks in like the early 70s, and they brought
Okay.
one up it was out of the States. It's called a Pringle Power Vac truck. They brought one up to the States, Calgary, and so literally, like, he was a duct cleaning guy in like the early 70s before
No
you would
way.
have even thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he grew that and scaled that in Calgary. He had 6 duct cleaning trucks and 8 or 10 service vehicles. I faintly remember because I was a kid. I was born in 74, right?
Okay.
So, and yeah, anyway, so he grew that and scaled that, and he sold that business in 1982 in
Okay.
Calgary, moved to Kelowna here, and my dad was 35 years old and built his dream house in Kelowna, sold his business, doing the entrepreneurial thing, right? And then did a few other things. And then, funny enough, one day when I was in grade 3 or 4, this is what I mean about being in diapers. I came back, I was walking back home from school, and there was a power vac, an old duct truck on our driveway. And I say old duct trucks because if you've ever seen a duct truck, the old style of duct cleaning is like, respectfully, our industry is very fragmented. So a guy in a duct truck smoking with like a wife
Yeah.
beater on sometimes, like this
Yep.
old.
We
Yeah.
call them
Anyway,
a truck in a truck.
yeah, truck and truck, right? So, and I came home and that duct truck was there, and it said power vac on the side, and I went in and I was like, to my mom, I'm like, what's that? Like, oh, your dad bought a duct cleaning truck, right? And so I was in grade 4 or 5, and it was funny because that was the second time I kind of saw my dad's entrepreneurial journey, and the second time he was the Subway sandwich artist. I think the first time he grew and scaled the business. The second time he bought himself the job. He was the guy in the truck. That was it. And my mom was the lady at home that answered the phones, drove us to school as kids, did the mom things. So I grew up in that environment at home. Fast forward grade 12, I just mentioned to you, got my girlfriend pregnant in grade 11. That kind of changed my trajectory for where I wanted to go in life.
Sure.
And so I had worked summers with my dad being a vent cleaning technician and washing vents, those things. Anyway, I bought into that business with him in 1992 when I graduated,
Okay.
and I ran a duct truck, and he ran a duct truck, and that was it. And I hated it. Like, hated the work. Like,
Yeah.
but I did it because back I was like 18, 19, putting food on the table for my soon to be wife
Yeah.
and
You
kids.
got to pay the
Right?
bills.
Yeah, man. And that was all I knew. And that was kind of what I watched my dad do. And we're a product of environment. So that was it. Long story short, fast forward 4 years into that, So 1992 to 1996. And then my dad had some health issues. So we put that business up for sale because I didn't want to maintain it because my dad seemed to make it clear to me. And I love my dad dearly and respect him a lot. But he was like, you can't grow and scale that business. I've done it. It's not worth it. Just be a guy in a truck, blah, blah. So we sold that business. Probably a good thing for me. Had a 5-year non-compete. And I went into a few other business ventures, one of them with friends from high school. And I quickly learned the difference between being in business with family
Yeah.
and people from high school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was Lane's. It was a great furniture store concept. Anyway, I came back 4 years later, $250,000 in debt, failed marriage, single dad. Our 5-year non-compete was up. Came back to Kelowna where my mom and dad were here because my kids were 8 and 5. I had sole custody, needed some guidance and some good place for them, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and me, and at this point I was maybe 24, 25, so still young. And we got a call from a guy in restoration. And restoration in our business is really key because any facility that has a fire or a flood and
Yeah.
has restoration in it, it's in their insurance documents or requirements that the HVAC systems need to be inspected for
Okay.
insurance requirements to see if they require cleaning. It's just mandated. So here in Canada, we've built the brand really, really well. We're national with Balfour, Service Masters, On-Site Restoration. We do really well at relationship building restoration companies for that reason.
Yep.
And this was the largest restoration company here where I'm out of in Kelowna, doing about 30 million a year in revenue. And the owner called me and he's like, Lane, Keith Stutter's here. I'm like, hey, Keith. He's like, just wondering if you're ever going to get back into the game in duct cleaning. I was like, nope.
That ship sailed.
Yeah, and he's like, because like I know your 5-year compete. I was talking to your dad because my dad at that point had started a blind cleaning business, and so he was out and about doing things still. Again, in a truck doing it. Anyway, and man, I went back home and I went to my dad. I'm like, Keith called me, and they're doing a couple $100,000 a year in subbing, duct cleaning, and the restoration, and my dad's like, well, maybe we should get back into the business. I'm like, I don't want to. He's like, well, how are you going to pay back your family members that you owe $250,000 to? How are you going to like provide a better life for your kids than building your own asset, right? So anyway, May 2001, we bought a brand new duct truck, spent $140,000 on that. We called it Modern Furnace and Air Duct Cleaning. Really great name. Hey, really not at all. But that was it. So Lane was back in and I was the guy in the truck. I was answering the phones, man. I was going into the homes. I was doing the work because my dad then at that point refused to allow me to hire a technician.
We'll get right back to the episode in just a minute, but if you've been considering business ownership, if you're already a business owner looking to expand and you're curious about franchising, I'd love to connect with you, answer any initial questions that you have, talk about a specific franchise, and detail the exact process that I use and have taken hundreds of people through to help them understand franchise ownership, find the right franchise for them, and conduct the necessary due diligence. Click the link in the show notes if you'd like to schedule a free, no obligation strategy call. I look forward to talking with you. And now back to the episode. So I wanted to ask about that earlier.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt your flow here.
No, please do. Whenever you want.
I think it might be a good, thing to unpack a little bit, because it sounds like the trajectory your dad went on was like the opposite of how a lot of entrepreneurs do it, right? Where a lot of entrepreneurs kind of buy themselves the job first, and then through a lot of trial and error and sometimes just blunt force, they figure out how to scale over time.
Yep.
Sounds like he's scaled a successful business, at least to the point where it was attractive enough for someone to come and buy it, right? He said he was able to build his dream house at age 35. So what was it about that experience where when he decided to get back into it, he's like, I don't want to, was he just done having to manage people and deal with all, I think that's the hardest part of any business is the people part. Was he just kind of over that, or what was?
I think that's a great question. I think there's a few things. I think number one was, people. His strength is not people and relationships, building teams and culture. He's a great solopreneur. Still to this day. He's retired now and 83, but and I think because he sold that business and did well enough, he didn't need to build something else again. He
Right.
was
Yeah. Okay.
entrepreneurial bored. And like in the first, so that duct cleaning truck he bought in 1982-ish called PowerVac, that was a franchise system that used to be across Canada in duct cleaning.
Okay.
And they had awarded the old way of franchising. They awarded that franchise to guys that ran a vacuum flow store that sells central vacuum systems, like brick and mortar retail. And they
Okay.
awarded
Yeah.
this duct cleaning. So like there's no correlation there at all how that
Yeah.
would work.
Yeah.
But my dad bought that truck because it was for sale, 10 cents on the dollar. The franchisor didn't even like interview, do anything of any like old way, right? Just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, new owner,
Let's
send in
go.
your royalties on an Excel. Well, it wouldn't even been Excel on like a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
just like that, we just collect a royalty and you show up for a convention once a year. That's it. That's what we provide. Like
Yeah.
honestly. But my dad did more in revenue in the first month than they had done in 2.5 years of owning that. So my
Shit.
dad was good at just being the guy in the truck. And I think that's what he wanted. He wanted, I bought myself a job, but I make six figures still in
Yeah.
those days, bought myself a job. So why do I want more responsibility? So I think that was that answer.
That's a
right?
thing, man. And it's like I was having this conversation the other day with a candidate that I've been working with and coaching, and he's evaluating a few different franchises, and he comes back, he'd had some conversations with a couple of different franchisees with one of the brands that he's been looking at, and he's talking about just how like different mentalities for some of these different owners, right? And he's like, I talked to this one guy and he's like super ambitious, like hard charging, like he's got a good business, but he's got goals, and he's set on continuing to take it to the next level. And he's and then I talked to the next guy, and like he's got a good business, but he's not really pushing anymore. And I said, look, that would have blown my mind 5 or 6 years ago. The idea of like leaving opportunity on the table.
Yeah.
But I said, you and I were chatting before we started recording, like I've got 3 young kids. My wife and I bought our first franchise 7.5 years ago. Back then, the thought of like taking our foot off the gas and kind of just maintaining or very slow kind of steady growth would have blown my mind. But now with 3 kids, it's like we've got the income that we want from it, and we have the lifestyle that we want for it. And I'll be the first to tell you, like, yeah, we're leaving. I hope our brand president's not listening.
Doesn't listen.
Yeah, we're leaving some opportunity on the table. Like we could be pushing a little bit harder, but like we're at a season in our life where that's not the number one priority. The flexibility, the less stress than would double the number of people that we have. Like we have a team of people that have been with us for a long time now. To go and add to that would bring some headaches and some stress. So like I think that's important for people out there listening to think about and to understand, and really get clear on what your goals are. So it sounds like your dad did a good job of assessing, all right, what is the goal here, right? Am I trying to build this big multi-million-dollar business, or do I want to just have a good income, work for myself, and not have a lot of the headaches that can come with building a larger organization with a big team?
100%. I agree. I think it's really, and it's so funny because like, we see it even in our existing franchise partner network in Canada here. But that's okay. It's like Gary Vee talks a lot about happiness and how that's different for anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's an opportunity cost leaving on the table. And Gary's like savage in so many ways because business to him is so that's his DNA. But he does speak about like just his opinion, and his opinion doesn't make it right. It's who he is, and I think that's the key is happiness. And so what is that happiness? Now, our brand, we're not looking for solopreneurs because respectfully in franchising, one guy in a truck or a franchisee with 10 trucks. Hello, right? What adds enterprise value?
The franchise model is really relies on some level of scale for the franchisees.
But some of our happiest franchisees guaranteed like 2, 3, 4 trucks, making great EBITDA and doing well. And they're happy doing that. That's great. Because That's great validation. That's why, like, that's the entrepreneurial journey. I talked to another friend of mine the other day, entrepreneur, and like, man, good on you. Like, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
Good on you for doing what you and your wife have done. You're in the season of life. You've designed your life that way. Respectfully, you should be proud of what you've done. You can do that now.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah,
So,
it's personal, right? It doesn't. Not everyone has to have the exact same goal or vision for what they want their business to look like, and it.
right?
I think it all kind of comes back to like any business is really just a vehicle to help create the life that you want to have. You know, the business shouldn't be your life. So
Correct. Yeah.
that's interesting. So you kind of got pulled back into this
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
people
Getting back.
that knew you. And that
Yeah,
was really
man.
the genesis for what is now Modern Pure Air.
Yeah. So got pulled back in and fought tooth and nail with my dad every single day. Cause like I was like answering the phones and then I'd be in the house doing the work or doing a walkthrough. And my strength is selling. Like I can, like in those days I can sell. Now it's developing and passion. I love people and entrepreneurship, but like I can sell. It's a strong suit that I have. And I couldn't spend the time when I was in a home doing duct cleaning like the same way with a residential homeowner. I could be with a high level purchaser instead. So anyway,
Yeah.
three years into that journey, finally had it out with my dad one evening. And it was the fork in the road, as entrepreneurs call it, and said, "Give me 90 days. Let me hire a technician. Give me 90 days. If it doesn't work, you'll never hear me whine about this again." And so he's like, "Okay." So we did, hired a guy. He was our first technician. Funny enough, turned out to be our first franchisee too. And there's a story on its own there. Again, you learn as a franchisor. But regardless, yeah, whole other podcast. He was our first technician. He had approached me at a gas station 6 months before. He was working for Powerback, the company we sold. Said, "Hey, I've heard lots about you. If you ever I'd love to come work for you." And I think that was a great sign of who we were as when we sold that business as well.
Yeah.
And anyway, so hired him on, and literally 6 months later had truck number 2. 9 months later had truck number 3, and Lane then got to go into the development of sales and my where I need to be my value add to the business, which is selling and customer relationship building at that time. And then fast forward 2005, things are good now. We've got a little office. I'm not home based. I've met my new wife now, not new anymore, but new in that point, April.
Right.
We're still married, just celebrated 15 years, 2 kids together.
Awesome.
And yeah, which is really cool. And they're older and almost grown out. Keegan's now 16. Carly is year 2 at Guelph University here in Canada. But and I was reading an article in Profit magazine, and I'll always remember, in 2005, and it was on this little junk removal company. And they had started franchising in Canada in 1999, called it 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And this was in 05, Brian Scudamore, OT brands.
Yep.
Yeah, Scuds. Yeah, right. And I was just reading this article. I'm sitting in my little office, and we have like 3 or 4 duct trucks running, and we're running 3 little cities here within 50 miles of where I live. It's building and going. I'm like, we can have like Empire and have like 60 corporate locations. And reading this article, and it's Brian Scudamore, same business model, very close. We have 3 junk removal trucks. But in the article, it said, we took a very fragmented, unsexy industry, branded it, franchised it, and set out to be the FedEx of junk removal. And I was like, nobody's done that in indoor air quality.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. And so I would come home every day for like 6 months and talk to my wife, April. Brian Scudamore. Vancouver is a 4-hour drive from where I live. That's where Brian's based out of. OT Brands is still based out of. Finally came home after 6 months of doing that. She's like, "I'm sick and tired of you saying this." I got through to his assistant. "You get an hour with Brian next week in Vancouver." And so I drove down to Vancouver, nervous as could be, pulled out a recorder, asked for permission, and sat with Brian Scudamore in 2007 at a Starbucks when they just passed 100 million in rev and system sales in North America, and said, "What did you do right in franchising in years 1, 2, and 3?
Oh, they were that big back in.
They were already back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They blew up. They just hit Oprah. Like their story's really cool.
He's a genius marketer.
Oh man, they did great marketing. Yeah,
I can't even remember how I got connected with him, but he did this show years ago.
Nice.
For like 20 minutes. He's a busy guy. It was probably like one of my shortest episodes, but yeah, I mean, super generous with his time. Brilliant marketer, and great leader. I mean, you want to talk about culture, like seems like they've really done it right. So, but yeah, I wouldn't have guessed they were that big
Yeah,
already
this year.
back in '07.
Yeah, back in '07, and then the economy crashed, and he almost. I mean, if you follow their trajectory, as it did. I mean, junk removal. Do you pay premium to get that done, or do you, when money's tight, do you get a buddy and a case of beer and go do it yourself? Like,
Yeah, or try to
honestly,
sell
right?
some of it.
Yeah, yeah, Gary V, garage sale flip. But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
right.
So I
Exactly.
came back. Yeah, I came back from that meeting, and that like being an entrepreneur, I listened as much as I could to Brian about, like, as we do, we take what we want to hear. But the three of the key things he gave me were: you need an inbound sales center, you need to control your sales center. And I was like, why? And he's like, man, have you ever called around to at-home service brands and, like, you try to get a hold of them and they don't answer? And he's like, you just can't have that. And if you have franchise black eyes, you've awarded to the wrong type of franchise, or there's problems going, you need to control that data. And so started mapping that out, and then a few other nuggets that he gave me. And I came back to Kelowna here, and we took 18 months to develop what we felt would be the brand. So I hired a great brand marketing agency. You talked about the name change. That's when these 8 people sitting around a table, after like 6 months of this engineering in your head, like Disney Imagineers, they came up with the name Modern PURAIR. But I always remember sitting in that meeting, they're like, so let me get this straight. You guys clean the air inside businesses and offices and institutions and homes. I'm like, yeah, but you're using duct cleaning trucks that run outside on the driveway with diesel powered PTOs that pollute the air. I'm like, yeah, that's our industry. And they're like, you can't do that. Like, what do you mean you can't do that? Like, you just can't do that. Like, it goes against everything we're talking about. I'm like, well, there's no other option. Like, that's what we do. And they're like, no. I'm like, well, so this was in '07 ish, and portable units were unheard of in our industry at the time. Everybody was using duct trucks. So, man, there's 3 or 4 portable units that you could get in the industry. We bought all of them. They were terrible. And so we set out, that was our first benchmark. We're like, we need to have like the McDonald's milkshake machine in the brand. And we set out, we created and developed our own PURAIR vacuum. And to this day, it's still industry leading. We're on like rendition number 14, more suction than a duct truck, 0 emissions, runs completely off electricity. And we can show every residential client what we get out. So that was one of the first differentiators in the brand.
Yeah, because with the trucks, you didn't really have anything to show, right? They're kind of just taking your word for it that it actually did something. They hear the noise and see what you're doing. But
yeah, the guys normally, I mean, I shouldn't say all, but our industry is so funny. Normally it's the same pail. They show every residential homeowner, and they bring it up and they're like, look what we found.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like,
yeah,
you're like, right. But yeah, that's just it. It's perception. So, part of our brand is built around customer experience. That's what we care about the most. I don't know if we do duct cleaning the best. I don't know if we do IAQ testing and dryer vent cleaning. Like, honestly, I don't really care. I care about customer experience.
Yeah.
And the way that you get great customer experience and brand ambassadors is by over delivering on customer experience. So our brand is around clean, shiny trucks, clean uniform technicians, upfront pricing, 30-day satisfaction guarantee, and we show you what we get out of the ductwork. So every home we come into with a PURAIR vacuum, at the start of the job, inside the vac is clean, like there's nothing in it. And at the end, we have a bag. We leave it with the homeowner. We show you what we get out. And I think that's that last piece they see is the truck pulls away. Yeah, that's it. So we started to do that anyway. And the brand people came up with the name Modern PURAIR, and that's what clean air, we live and breathe it, was our positioning line, still is. But that's what really evolved into, we're not just duct cleaners. And so we do dryer vent cleaning, indoor air quality testing, filtration, maintenance, those things. That's what evolved that from just, we're guys in a duct truck. So that was the first segue into that. And then a year later, we opened our first franchise. And in Canada, we'll do around 20 million this year in system sales, got 10,000 5-star Google reviews. So from what we've done here in Canada and continue to do, we kill it. We're coast to coast, and we're really, really excited about the opportunity in the United States. And we were going to be into the US about 6 years ago. And funny enough, I left Calgary Airport, flew from Calgary to Scottsdale, Arizona, and we were there, booked an Airbnb. It's going to be there for 3 weeks for market research. And that's the day COVID shut the country down. And that was when I was starting the US expansion. Yeah, I arrived in Scottsdale, man. I got off the plane, my wife, my in-laws, I rented an Airbnb with a pool. We were there for 3 weeks over spring break. Left Calgary Airport, and I noticed that the PGA had shut down that morning. We're in the lounge, and I didn't think too much about it. Landed in Scottsdale, got the rental car, drove to the Airbnb, checked in, went to Costco in Scottsdale. I just thought it was a really busy Costco. I had no idea, man, what was
Oh, it
going
was
on.
everyone scrambling.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
And there was a guy behind me in the lineup, and I looked at him. I'm like, "Is it always this busy?" He was on his phone, and he stopped, and he's like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Canada." And he's like, "Have you listened to the TV or radio today?" And I'm like, "No, man." And he's like, choice words. He's like, "Get the fuck home." He's like,
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
shutting stuff down. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Man, everything is shutting down." So went back to the Airbnb and made some decisions. And we sat there and we're like, I don't know, man, it's like 55 degrees at home and cold. So we're going to stay here with the pool and weigh it out. And we did.
Right.
Stayed there for 3.5 weeks, but we couldn't ramp the US. So instead we were only in Western Canada. We focused then on the rest of Canada, built it out. And now, with Front Street and that group, just really excited to bring the brand to the US. So
such a cool story, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I love kind of hearing the I always call it the come up story. And how does the industry in the US compare to that in Canada? Because is it still a super fragmented industry, especially in terms, because it seems like one of the things that differentiates you guys is it's the full package, right? It's not just duct cleaning. It's not just, because I can name a franchise, at least, two of them that they do duct cleaning or they do dryer vent cleaning, right? So is that the big differentiator, and how fragmented is that in the US? Is it similar to how it was in Canada?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll speak from my experience, and my experience is on what we can see with data and analytics and not real world yet, tested and measured in the US.
Sure.
But in speaking from that, when we look at markets in the US, large metro markets, very much like Canada, when we went from province to province, every time we went to a new province, people are like, "Oh, it's going to be way different in that province." You're like, "Dude, it's like," and we'd get there, and sure, there might be a few things to figure out, but there was always in any market over 1 million people, at least 3 companies that were somewhat scaled. And when I mean scaled, it means they weren't just mom and pops. They probably had somebody answering phones, and they probably had multiple trucks in our industry.
Right.
So we started learning that. And what we found, though, out of that was that nobody could deliver customer experience with a sales center and technology like we have, like the tech stack that drives that customer experience. So we went province to province, and it worked really, really well. So I'm coached by 3 or 4 franchisors that have started in this Canada and gone to the US. One of them was John DeHart from Nurse Next Door. Met him years ago at a pool in Hawaii. Sold and exited that brand. He did. They're still around. Nurse Next Door is a large private healthcare company, franchise system. And when he and I first started meeting in a hot tub 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was his first thing. He's like, "Are you in the US?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Well, because we want to be, we're just not ready." He's like, "Man, get to the US. If you can do what you're doing in Canada, you'll kill it in the US." Brian Scudamore, Got Junk, the same thing. Everline Paintings and Coatings, John Evans, he's from Calgary. Know his story very well. We're great friends. Same thing. I've seen what they've done. Really great guy, great brand, great guy, charismatic franchisor, love him. Great for the industry in franchising as well. Yeah, Spraynet, right? Another one. So when you see, and what I know is this, respectfully to any Canadians listening, Canada is a harder place for entrepreneurs to really grow and scale enterprise organizations because we are very risk adverse compared to Americans. And I mean that in a great way. The American way is so great. The way you guys do business and the change and the quickness that you execute at business is so much faster than Canada. And I love that. We call it the lane rate of change here. We call it lane speed in head office. I love that. Like, let's go.
Lane speed. I like that.
Yeah, lane speed, right? And so my answer to that is, there's great validation. So we know the services are required in every market in the states that we look into. There's a few franchise systems that we know of. There's nobody national yet. We know that. They're regionally, they do okay. But where our secret sauce really comes from is we're 50% commercial, 50% residential, which is so big. And we teach and develop the verticals to sell to in commercial for recurring revenue PMA contracts. And we do really, really, really well at that. So any HOA strata that requires annual dryer vent cleaning for fire prevention or fire inspection services to ensure that they have warranty for their facility still. We teach that playbook, how to get in, how to get through the gatekeeper, how to price that job, how to put it on recurring revenue so that you come back and clean those dryers every year for a 5-year averaging agreement. That's something nobody else in our industry does yet, but they just don't.
Yeah.
So that's just one little piece. So yeah. And then the customer experience is just so validated by how we've built the brand. Like if you call in and call our sales center, which is the heartbeat, like 1-800-GOT-JUNK, we have an 86% conversion in our sales center. Like it's not a contact center. We fully convert sales for you from a franchisee's perspective.
That's
so on
huge.
residential, yeah, if you call in, we answer the phone for you. We book you in through our FMS software. It's live. What a client or what a customer sees on booking online on modernpurair.com is exactly what a sales center agent sees. That franchisees still pick inventory and availability, but it's all integrated and live. So what you hear and what we would tell you on that sales center, and we convert you, and then that email automatically goes across, lets the client know, and then what we deliver is exactly what you hear. It's really, really cool. So yeah, that's just one of the pieces, right? But yeah,
a couple things I want to pull out of that. The first is the customer experience piece, right? I think a lot of times when people set out, to evaluate different franchises, they kind of imagine like, man, I got to go find this franchise that has like a better mousetrap or, some proprietary widget that like no one else is doing or no one else can replicate. And it's like, those are out there.
Sure.
Sometimes they're good. Sometimes it's a flash in the pan type of thing. But it's not necessary, right? It's
totally.
And I love a brand like this, right? Where you can say, yeah, we came into this very fragmented industry. We understood that, hey, the bar is actually pretty damn low when it comes to expectations, right? When you're dealing with these types of companies. So, hey, how about we have a nice branded truck and we keep it clean, and we have people show up that are respectable looking and wearing branded logos, and show them the before and after, and it's just it all sounds so basic, especially to like a lot of people that are coming maybe out of like the corporate world in some capacity, but it's like in a lot of cases that's more than enough to give you the winning formula in some of these types of industries, right? So I think that customer experience piece, and like you guys really focusing on that and kind of making it the center of everything that you do, it makes a ton of sense. The sales center, for those like that's so big. If you're converting 86%, so is that 86% of the calls that come in are getting converted to paid business?
For paid business, not 80% of all calls, because we skew out customer inquiry. Like, I have an appointment, I need to reschedule, right? I'm looking for answers on filtration, but like residential opportunity calls, 86% conversion. And what's beautiful is we have full transparency. So like, let's say this is really neat and something we pride ourselves in. The reason the name Modern is in PURAIR, by the way, is because we love technology. Like if you walked into our head office here in Kelowna, about 5,000 square feet. It's like you're walking into Facebook or Meta. Like you would never know we're a duct cleaning or an IAQ company. It's like just tech. I love technology because tech just helps so much. But if you booked with us today, if we were open in your market and the technician gets to the home and they do part of the PURAIR process, we do a walkthrough of the home, count the vents and registers, upfront pricing before we begin, because it's flat rate price for a certain amount of vents. And there's additional things like bathroom vents, dryer vents we can clean. So that's up. Before we start, here's the event. If the homeowner at that point says, that's not what I was told on the phone from the sales center, the technician on their iPad can click on the work order link and actually listen to the phone call.
Franchisees too, I assume, can listen.
Totally. We ask them to ghost call and score.
Yeah.
Like we have franchisees ghost call our call center all the time, sales center all the time. So, but that type of transparency just unlocks so many great things. So yeah, and as I grew the Kelowna franchise, I sold our so Kelowna, I sold that one 5 years ago, August 31st. And then our last corp store I sold same day. That was Saskatoon, Canada, August 31st. When I sold the Kelowna store, and I own those stores, growing it to where it got to in revenue. I sold it at 1.2 million revenue. The first year the new owner purchased that franchise, they went to 2 million and then 3 million last year, which is crazy cool. It means they're a really better operator. But as growing and scaling that, I know the problems that I had if I didn't have a sales center answering phones for admin and front end. Like if somebody called in sick or if somebody was on maternity leave or paternity leave, that was that person answering phones, I knew how critical it was. So our sales center, in my opinion, is the biggest differentiator for true entrepreneurs that can follow a system and plug in and make the phones ring, because they just don't have to worry about scaling. Like it's just like
100%, right? And so like you look at a lot of these other home service type franchises. I mean, even the ones that have a commercial component like you guys do, most of them involve a high performing sales team at the local level. Right. My wife and I own a franchise called Shelf Genie, right? So, we have a call center, right? But their job is to get us in the door, right? Their job is to take inquiries and schedule a free in-home design consultation, right? So, I can't take any credit for it. My wife has built a very high performing design team, which is our sales team, right? But you can look across the Shelf Genie system and there's countless other, home service, home improvement type franchises that follow a very similar model. Go out, give a free consultation, and then you got to ask for the business and try to convert. And so like the number one thing that separates top performing franchisees from everyone else is their ability to build a high performing sales team. Right. So you guys are kind of removing that variable from the equation, at least to a large extent.
On the residential. We'll talk about that, but you're right. You're right on the residential. But you're right. Because on the residential, it's like, they're warm lead inquiries. Like nobody ever wakes up and goes, "Hey, I want to get the ducts cleaned in my home today," and just randomly calls people around. Like it's a warm lead. When I was in the
firm, there's a need.
So they've found us through digital, PPC, pay-per-click, guerrilla residential marketing. But the sales center, if they call in, they do amazing on residential conversions for sure, because it's somebody waiting to buy. Like it's a warm lead. They might be doing competitive calls and calling around, but that's objection handling. Like they do great at converting those. Our top franchisees, what you're speaking of, performance, do great at following the playbook on residential to make the phones ring. Mm-hmm. That's important. Residential ground game, guerrilla marketing, digital, pay-per-click, SEO. That's no time and effort. That's easy to delegate out. Where our top performers in the brand do is on what you're stating is B2B. They drive the business relationships. And then when they get high level clients, like a school district purchaser, a large loss project manager for a national restoration company, like, "Hey, I'm the face. Thanks for using us. I'm your go-to person here. If anything comes out, like I'm the owner, but in the meantime, we've built the sales center to have concierge for them." So it's like email customer care at modernpur.com. They only deal with restoration project managers. They're going to be your go-to now moving forward. I'm still the owner in the face, and they do. And then they build that connection and that relationship. And they're like, "Oh, we got a large strip mall fire for Belfort." Boom. Customer care takes care of all of the bookings and the handlings, right? So we still need that local franchisee to drive that B2B side.
Sure. Yeah.
But we take that customer over here. Makes sense? Does that answer that, Kenneth?
It makes total sense. And because you're handling so much of that sales process on the residential side, it frees your owners up to have more time to go. Because I mean, like I'll use our Shelf Genie franchise as an example. Like so many franchisees get in the weeds with either running sales appointments themselves, in-home sales appointments themselves, because it's hard to build out a good sales team that you can delegate that to. And so they end up neglecting a lot of the B2B networking and activities that they should be doing that can drive more, there's not as much of a commercial component to the Shelf Genie business, but you should be out there talking to real estate agents, interior designers, builders, contractors, remodelers. Like all of those are people that can refer business to you but
Yeah.
you can't really run digital ads to like a real estate agent and say, hey,
No.
we can help you sell houses faster. All right.
Yeah.
So you gotta get yourself out of the weeds to have the time to go do it. And so I imagine that your franchisees are able to focus a lot more of their time and effort on that very high value activity for
There
them,
it is.
because you
There it
guys
is.
are taking that in-home sales piece largely off the table, where they
Totally.
have to do it themselves. So I love
Yeah.
that. I don't think enough. I hope that this will kind of help highlight how unique that is, because you're not going to see that. Any of these service-based franchises, they're likely going to have a call center of some sort,
Yeah.
right? But
Contact center. Yeah.
contact center, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, but are they actually closing business for you? That's a big
No.
deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, thank you. It is. And when we were doing some homework and analysis on other at-home service brands, right, and they say they have sales centers or contact centers, yeah, we realized it's just literally contact center. Like our sales center is as well North American. Like they're here, like they're in our head office. We're not, using, like some other people that might use offshore and those types of things. Yeah, no. I mean, we do some of that, but not for call center forward-facing voice activities, right? So that I think that's important too. But yeah, it's revenue generation, and you're bang
Yeah.
on. It allows. How does voter restoration speak? The mayor of your own town. It allows
Yeah.
the local franchisee to be the mayor of their own town. That's just it. Get in front of, in restoration, we know alone that a project manager on average that's dealing with 40 claims a week is going to have 5 to 7 that could use our services. So when we reverse engineer that, if we know a project manager in one office and there's 10 project managers, well, we know right now in PURAIR, each project manager is worth about $1,000 a month to us in revenue. So what did we tell a franchise owner? Well, it's pretty simple. How many restoration companies are in your market? How many project managers are in each? Here's the script. Here's the pitch. Here's how we get through the gatekeeper. Here's how you speak their language. That's what we do. But do that constantly and consistently, and you will get project managers using you. And that's recession proofing they will use you every month instead of chasing a one-off residential homeowner that's important for cash flow, but is only going to use you every 2 years. Right?
Yeah,
That's just,
totally.
yeah, man. So
In
yeah.
your mind, so on that note, in your experience, is kind of a 50-50 mix where you want to be between residential and commercial?
Yeah, great question. Pre-COVID, we used to say when we were selling franchises, when we were awarding franchises in Canada, we still are, but when pre-COVID, when it was those times, we're like 80% residential year one, 20% commercial. I don't know how we came up with the number, but when you come up with numbers like that, it's kind of how then things happen. Then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we were deemed frontline essential services. So thankfully we didn't shut down. We still had to go into homes, but during COVID, we found that commercial for the first time really became open to, hey, what our employees are breathing makes them sick. IAQ just blossomed during COVID because for the first time in our lifetimes, I'm 51, we really realized what we breathe can make us sick. That's what COVID did. We became super aware. So now it's 50-50. Right out of the gate.
Okay.
And I think that's a good model for cash flow because Resi pays your cash flow daily, you get paid on it. Commercials net 30. Well, it's up to you as an owner to term that. Some smart owners are net 7, 15, 30. But again, it's what you as the franchise owner want to give that company credit to.
They're always going to ask for net 30, I imagine.
There you go. Of course. Yeah. And restoration a lot of times is 60 and 90, but then you add margin on and play that game with them. So that's all good. But yeah, 50-50 is the ideal. You got it.
We'll get right back to the episode, but I wanted to quickly share a free resource with you. If you're curious about franchise ownership and want to learn more about how countless people, including myself, have leveraged franchising as a way to create more freedom for themselves and to take control of their livelihood, I've put together an ebook. It's called Franchise Wealth Creation, and it's the perfect starting point for anyone that's just curious to learn more about this whole franchise thing and how I've helped hundreds of other people navigate all the steps involved in understanding and researching franchising. So click the link in the show notes, fill out a short form. I'll send you the ebook. I think it's a great starting point if you're curious at all about learning more about franchising. All right, let's get back to the episode. Yeah. So on the awareness, like the IAQ, is it an awareness thing? Has this always been an issue, and it's only more recently through things like COVID that we've become more aware of, how important air quality is, or has something changed that's reduced the quality of the air? Does that question make sense?
Totally. Pre-COVID, I could answer that for you, and then I'll do two steps. So buildings have become so much tighter due to energy efficiency since 1975 as building codes changed. So as I've grown up, put it this way, you see a high rise in what city are you from? Sorry, man.
Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
No high, not really any high rises.
Okay. So let's go next time let's take New York City. I love New York, so I'm just going to use it for easy figure. Walking through New York City, you look at high rises built in the 70s and 80s, they can open windows. New high rises you can't, because they've made them building.
Yeah.
So as buildings have become tighter and homes have become tighter for energy efficiency, what has happened is the old days in a home, you sit in an older home, you rent an older home, you buy an older home, in the winter when it's cold, it breathes differently, and in the summer. You just know that because you can feel things coming through the windows and the walls differently, right? Compared to new airtight homes construct. So as homes became more airtight and buildings became more airtight, you couldn't just bring fresh air in nearly the same way anymore. They're not engineered. But also the building materials that we've used in residential, glues, formaldehydes. We hear the terms VOCs. Those are VOCs, volatile organic compounds. Those are what off-gas from all of the Chinese furniture, tile, flooring, cabinetry, everything that's manufactured. Home Depot has low VOC paints for that reason. That's only happened in the last 5 or 6 years. So we've started to realize people now, childhood asthma is the highest it's ever been. People moving into new homes, they have the highest respiratory ailments in new homes they've ever had because it's a brand new home, but it's off-gassing. All of these things, carpets, formaldehydes. Yeah, and the ductwork is the lungs of the home, and we forget about that.
Yeah.
And so because the ductwork is the lungs of the home, picture if you didn't vacuum your living room for 2 years. The ductwork is the same. But then we buy these brand new homes and people, we get it. We calls in. They're like, man, we have a brand new home and my daughter, she's not feeling well. She's sniffly. And then she goes to school. The sniffles go away and she comes back home and she's sniffly again. So part of that is let's look at the lungs of the home. And normally during construction, if the home hasn't been cleaned post-construction key turnover, they've swept everything into the vents and registers during construction and then put the grill on, and you don't know that as the homeowner.
Yeah, you're not probably checking that.
No, why would you, right? And then that drywall dust voids warranty and it's toxic. So that's one of the reasons. So we started to see that really get worse and worse and worse, which is why, commercial has become such a boom for us as well, because schools, healthcare facilities, government institutions, private healthcare, city facilities, they're all mandated now to actually have HVAC systems inspected and cleaned regularly as part of preventative maintenance agreements. Now, that being said, that does not mean that they do it. That's where a good owner can come in with that education piece.
Yeah.
That's the key. So it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and it's just going to continue to grow our market is really the bottom line. Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What are you looking for in your franchisees? Are they coming into this with any relevant industry experience? Are they you just looking for good business minded people? Like what's the profile?
First profile that I love to look for is the founder when they get to start to meet me and they're going through validation and checks is black eyes in life or business. What's been your biggest challenge? That's so critical to me, man. We lead with black eyes in franchising, and we could answer that and take another podcast. Because, man, I'm a franchisor that leads with transparency, and I can tell you we've made some terrible decisions over the years, but they're black eyes that we needed to learn. And you just have to. And so and
you got to figure out what you're made of, because it's going to be a lot of ups and downs with business ownership, man. And
you're an entrepreneur, man. That's what I mean.
Well, it's that old saying, right? Like the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah.
right? So
So
like, I mean, that could be like the worst thing that's ever happened to you is like Starbucks was closed this morning or out of the coffee that you normally get, and you have a complete freaking meltdown because you didn't get your normal Starbucks. Or the worst thing that's ever happened to you could be, something unfathomable to
yeah,
the majority of us.
that's just it. So yeah, black eyes important, and it doesn't mean they need to have black eyes in business, but I'm just speaking life. Funny, we do a lane love session in our cafeteria here once a week. Great name, hey? But people call in and they get open Q&A, and my sales center team, and they ask, and that came up this morning. Like, you talk about this black eyes a lot, and I've never thought about this from a head office perspective. But they're like, you talk about that with franchisees. How about HO staff? Do we need black eyes? What do you mean by that? And my thing behind it was like, humans, if we don't feel uncomfortable stepping out of comfort zones and failing, then we're not in growth mindset, and that
Yeah,
is entrepreneurship,
totally.
man.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta understand. So like, that's the first thing. If people don't have black eyes at that point, then normally I would be like, in my head, maybe this isn't for you, because I don't want your first black eyes to come from our brand in business. Not that Pure isn't a good brand, but like, just stepping and dabbling your feet into entrepreneurship and not really knowing, like,
yeah, it comes with the territory.
it does. And so that's the first one. And then the second one is their why. What is, like, what we spoke about? What's your why for happiness? And that can be like I do a vivid vision painted picture every 3 years for our entire franchise system. It's in our head office here. I'll send it to you, 10 feet high, 6 feet wide. And it's exactly how our brand will look, act, and feel 3 years from the day I write and sign it every year. So Vivid Vision 2027 is up, right down to how customer experience, how many franchises, how many technicians, how the phones answered, technology, everything is built into there. That's my why for the brand. And then everything goes back to every decision we make is based on, is this in the vivid vision? Is it aligned with what we're doing? I need a strong why from somebody on not only why are you looking at franchising, but then why are you looking at Pure? What is your goal here? Like, do you want to replace your job? And what do you make? It's 70 grand a year. So you're a solopreneur. Or do you really have a strong desire and a why? And does this make sense? And if that why correlates and clicks, and I know that we can help them get to that why, that's strong. Our
Yeah,
strongest franchisees are still the ones today. Rich Turner, he just finished year 2 in our brand. He's in Barrie, Ontario. He was our franchisee of the year last year. He came in with such a strong why, and I'll remember in confirmation with him day here, and he looked at me and he's like, "What do I need to be successful?" And I'm like, "Our playbook says 5 decision maker conversations a day
mm,
in commercial, just 25 a week, which is 100 a month." He's a high aptitude sales guy. And he looked at me, he's like, "What if I do 25?" I'm
a
like,
day.
"Rich, if yeah." I'm like, "If you do 25, you will blow every record away that we've ever done in the brand." And he's like, "Okay." And he was our fastest franchisee to 30 grand, 60 grand, 100 grand a month, three, second sprinter, third sprinter, just brought brick and mortar, fastest to a million. Previous was 39 months. He did an 11, just passed 2 mil, like, just crushed it.
Excellent.
But
Yeah.
his why, his strong why, was his vision board. He's like, "I have a 7 year plan to build an asset, to have my home on the lake, to change my parents, my kids' lives, my life, because my whole life I've worked corporate world and sold for other people and made them fucking rich." And he's like, "This is my why." And it was so strong. I'm like, "I can help you with that."
Hell yeah.
And we did. And we just like it. That to me is so important. So if somebody has a strong why, then the hard parts, the sleepless nights, the candle burning half
Yeah.
burnt, right? The flickering, the questioning, that why, that passion comes back into what drives you that next day to get out and find solutions or reach up and ask for advice from the network, to get engagement with other Z's. That's that why that you need to be successful. And if you don't have that strong why, it's easy to throw the towel in, right? So those are
Yeah.
the two big things. The rest, man, this business is really simple. That's what I love about Modern PURAIR. Like, we're an unticketed trade in most states. Like, and honestly, in there's a reason behind that. Like, the duct work is clean or dirty. Stick your head in the duct, take a picture, man. If it's still dirty, make it clean. It's customer
I'm
experience. We
I'm
sell
going
time.
to check mine as soon
Do
as
it. Yeah.
we I mean, we just finished building this house a little over a year ago. We finished building in what was it, July of 24.
Yeah.
So I gotta go.
Yeah,
Take a
yeah.
peek.
You're like, oh man.
I can tell you, no one's come to clean them since we moved
No.
in. So I gotta go. Take a peek and see what we're working with here. So
Yeah.
real quick, and then we'll
Yeah,
wrap
man.
this up
No,
because I know
all
you're
good.
busy.
Yeah. No, it's good.
So where are you guys at in the U.S. right now? We're recording this in
Yeah.
early September 2025. Where are you guys at?
Well, we technically went live in the US May 1st. So
Okay.
FTPs and FAs were aligned. Front Street Equity, which is our FSO group,
Yep.
aligned with us probably March, but we were allowed to go live in May. And so Bobby and team right now are strongly validating and helping work through the process. Our first confirmation day is, I believe, the first week of October here in
Okay.
Canada. So, and then after that, we're going to have confirmation dates every 4 to 6 weeks,
Yeah.
bringing new candidates up. And right now, we're just really, really excited about the opportunity to find the right fit, people to plug in with strong whys to really help them grow and
Yeah.
create a great business, right?
Well,
That's the
it's clear that you're very passionate about it, and in my opinion, doing this the right way, right? Which is not like, hey, let's go run and sell as many
no,
franchises as fast as we can. It's got to
no.
be the right people with the right alignment, and you know, for those listening, Front Street Equity Partners, great people over there, ton of good experience. Uh, Bobby Brennan and I go way back. I'm not so sure about that Van Horn guy, but we'll
Yeah,
give
well,
him the benefit of the
that's
doubt.
okay. Yeah, there you go. We can give him. Yeah, I get it. It's all
No,
good.
no, no.
Eric, I know he's great. He's
He's
great.
been a
Yeah,
mentor to me for many years
love
now.
it.
So
Eric's great, man.
yeah, man, you guys are. It sounds like locked and loaded to really make a push into the U.S. It sounds like you've still got room to grow in Canada as
Oh,
well. So
we do. We
um,
do. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been great. But
super
I
super exciting
appreciate
opportunity, man, and I learned a lot. Super helpful for me to just kind of get some time with you and get a little deeper dive on the brand itself. So great opportunity. Looking forward to seeing where this goes for you guys, but
us
it
too,
seems
man.
like the stars are aligning.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on and taking time to learn more about our brand.
Yeah,
Love it.
absolutely. Absolutely. We'll put website links, social media handles, all that good stuff in the show notes to make it easy for people to find. And for those of you listening, if this piqued your interest, I mean, look, in the US, it's wide
Wide
open
open.
right now, right?
Wide open.
This is one of those kind of unique opportunities, right? Where you guys are clearly not a brand spanking
Brand.
new
No,
franchisor, right? But in the US, territory is wide open.
wide
So
open.
you get all the benefit of jumping in early with a young emerging brand as far as territory goes, and just ground floor opportunity. But you're not going to be the guinea pig in this case. So
Totally.
these
Yeah.
these opportunities don't come along all that often. So if you're out there, if you're listening, if this piqued your interest, reach out to me. We'll look at territory, we'll look at the investment range, and see if it's a fit to make an introduction.
Love it. Thanks so much.
Lane, thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. You as
Modern
well.
Pure Air.